For generations, the Israelites had lived under harsh slavery in Egypt, forced to work endlessly under cruel overseers, building cities and monuments, while their own lives were filled with suffering. Their cries for freedom echoed day and night, and according to the Bible, God chose Moses, a man raised in the Egyptian court yet tied by birth to the enslaved people, to become their deliverer. Moses was reluctant at first, unsure of his own strength, but he was commanded to confront Egypt's ruler, Pharaoh, and demand the release of the Israelites. Standing in royal halls before guards, priests, and nobles, Moses delivered a message that sounded impossible: "Let my people go." Pharaoh's refusal was firm, and what followed shook the entire land. Rivers turned to blood, darkness swallowed cities, storms ravaged crops, and disease spread through livestock. Each plague revealed increasing tension between divine power and royal pride, and although Pharaoh repeatedly promised freedom, his heart hardened every time relief came, dragging the nation closer to catastrophe. At last, after the final and most devastating plague, Pharaoh ordered the Israelites to leave Egypt immediately. Families packed in haste, gathering children, livestock, and supplies, stepping into the desert under the cover of night. Columns of people stretched for miles, moving between fear and hope, unsure what awaited them beyond slavery. But the moment they disappeared into the wilderness, Pharaoh regretted his decision. Enraged at losing such a massive workforce, he assembled chariots, soldiers, and horsemen, the pride of Egypt's military, and launched a relentless pursuit. Dust clouds rose on the horizon as thousands of armed warriors closed in, their wheels rattling across the sand. Meanwhile, the Israelites followed Moses toward the sea, guided by a towering pillar of cloud by day and fire by night. When they finally reached the shoreline, panic swept through the camp. Mountains blocked escape on one side, the sea roared before them, and behind them the thunder of approaching chariots grew louder with every passing moment. Fear exploded into anger and despair. Some cried, others shouted at Moses, accusing him of leading them into a deadly trap, wishing they had never left Egypt at all. Mothers clutched children, elders collapsed onto the sand, and entire families stared at the endless water before them, convinced there was no path forward. But Moses, however, stood firm and urged the people not to surrender to terror. He called them to witness what he described as divine deliverance, insisting that the pursuing army would soon trouble them no more. As night fell, a powerful wind began to roar across the shoreline, whipping sand into the air and driving waves backward. Slowly, astonishingly, the waters began to separate. Walls of sea rose on both sides, towering like liquid cliffs, while the seabed beneath hardened into dry ground. What moments earlier had been an impossible barrier now stretched into a massive corridor through the ocean, glowing faintly under moonlight and firelight. At Moses' command, the Israelites stepped forward into the parted sea, walking between shimmering walls of water that loomed high above their heads. The wind howled through the passage as thousands crossed, families, animals, carts, and elders, hearts pounding with awe and disbelief. Behind them, Pharaoh's army rushed into the opening, convinced they could capture the fleeing crowd before escape was complete. Chariots thundered across the seabed, soldiers shouting as they pursued through the watery canyon. But once the last Israelites reached the far shore, Moses lifted his staff again toward the sea. The wind ceased, and in a terrifying instant the walls of water collapsed. Waves crashed down upon the chariots and horsemen, swallowing the army in a roaring surge. When the water settled, the path was gone, and the shoreline lay silent except for the stunned survivors who had just witnessed what they believed to be one of the greatest miracles in history. As dawn broke across the desert, the Israelites stood safely on the far side of the sea, staring back at waters that now rolled calmly as if nothing extraordinary had happened. Relief, shock, and overwhelming gratitude swept through the camp. Songs erupted, drums were struck, and voices lifted in praise for deliverance after centuries of bondage. The crossing of the sea became a defining moment in biblical tradition, a symbol of rescue, faith, and divine authority that would be retold for generations. Long after that night, the story continued to echo through sermons, books, films and online videos watched by millions around the world, especially in the USA and UK, where audiences remain fascinated by dramatic Bible narratives filled with suspense, miracles, and moral struggle. Even today, this ancient account stands as a reminder of how desperation can turn into hope, and how one moment can reshape the destiny of an entire people.